Hey, what's up guys, Pablo here. Today we have the unboxing and my first thoughts and impressions on the Renew Retaliation TR3 by Nike. As usual, I'm not a professional athlete and I've only been able to wear the shoes for about a week and a half, so keep that in mind while watching the video. And if you enjoy the video, please don't forget to subscribe. We got pretty exciting content coming out and I wouldn't want you to miss it. The Renew Retaliation 3 released in July of this year, but the colorway we're looking at today actually released not too long ago in mid-October. The training shoe retails for $75 US at Nike and a couple other US retailers, but this colorway seems to be a bit of an exclusive to Nike, as I wasn't able to come across it on other stores. Nike Mexico once again sent these in their typical shipping packaging, but the shoebox was slightly different. Since the shoe has Renew at the midsole, the shoebox is the same one that we came across with the Renew Ride and Run 2, with the Renew graphic running across the box. When you first open up the shoebox, you come across a very unique training shoe and a colorway that steals a bit of the spotlight. When I took them out of the box, something that was very noticeable, partly because of the orange accent that highlights it, is the TPU piece that completes the arc-shaped support at the midsole. This support is actually present on both the lateral and medial sides of the Retaliation 3, but only the lateral side has a plastic piece to highlight it. The arc-shaped support is something that was introduced to the Retaliation with this third generation in order to make side-to-side movements feel better. This is simply a curvature at the midsole that is meant to create extra support for exercises that involve side-to-side movement, but I found it to be helpful in adding plenty of stability regardless of the exercise. The rest of the midsole, as stated by the name of the shoe, consists of Renew foam that is meant to provide cushioning primarily for class-based workouts. It's not the softest or most responsive foam out there, but it provides a very solid foundation for the rest of the shoe, especially for the price. Nike describes the rubber outsole as grippy, with the purpose of providing great traction on different surfaces. However, the entire outsole isn't covered by rubber. There is a few areas of exposed foam on this part of the shoe, the largest one at the midfoot, but the most relevant one at the forefoot. This is a thin line of foam running the width of the sole, and it creates a bit of flexibility at the forefoot, which then translates into an overall more natural movement for your feet. Something else that was great about the forefoot was the toe box, which was surprisingly roomy. It's not the widest, but it allowed enough space for the front of my foot to feel comfortable and open. The toe box and the rest of the upper consist of a durable mesh that, according to Nike, is able to resist high abrasion. The mesh definitely felt durable, and I also found it to be fairly flexible. It isn't the most stretchy or breathable though, but I was still pretty impressed considering the price of the shoe. The collar and tongue are padded in an effort to make the shoe slightly more comfortable, but also secure. The padding around the collar is the bulkiest of the two, and it sits rather close to the ankle in order to create a lockdown fit. To make the shoes even more secure, there is a set of bands, or supports as Nike calls them, at the midfoot that work directly with the laces. These bands help secure your foot as you lace up in order to have a snug but secure fit. The supports are different from the second generation, but I found it interesting that they are actually a slightly updated version of the ones found on the first generation. These also operate as both bands and lace hoops in order to create a solid fit for the shoe. The laces take up every lace hoop when you first take them out of the box, which unfortunately creates a bit of extra pressure where the instep and ankle connect. I actually did my first HIIT workout without moving the laces, and my experience wasn't the best. This extra pressure, mostly noticeable at the front of the ankle, wasn't comfortable throughout the entire workout, and I knew I had to move the laces before my next one. Second time training with these, I decided not to use the lace hoop closer to the ankle, hoping that it would reduce the pressure. It ended up working out this way, and the improved fit was obvious as soon as I started warming up. During my first workout without using all the lace hoops, I still felt some pressure at the instep, but that went away after breaking the shoe in a bit more. The rest of the shoe was great, as all the features combined to provide a very stable and solid experience. During HIIT workouts, the upper was flexible for exercises like planks and push-ups, and the shoes fit true to size, so it made the experience a lot more enjoyable. During exercises with a lot of jumping and landing, especially while landing. The midsole added a lot of stability and I was very impressed with it. I ever so often don't stick my landings properly and I can feel this primarily at my ankle, but the Retaliation helped a lot in those moments, which is great to protect you from injury. Because it provides this stability though, the foam feels pretty rigid and it's not the softest. This slight stiffness at the midsole was noticeable during multiple exercises of my HIIT workouts, but also during a circuit training session. I was constantly switching from sprinting to jumping to footwork during this session, and the jumping and landing portion of it felt incredibly stable, but once again slightly rigid when landing. The arc-shaped support, however, was amazing during both HIIT and circuit workouts. It complemented the stability created by the Renew foam, and it made my feet feel a lot more secure as I was cutting or switching from one exercise to the other. The stability was also helpful for sprints as it made me feel like I was landing my strides in a proper manner. The shoes stayed pretty secure throughout all sessions thanks to the midfoot bands or supports, which provide a locked in but comfortable fit. I've tried shoes in the past that felt odd whenever I was quickly cutting with them, and I could also feel my foot slide a little bit as I did so. This wasn't the case with the Retaliation, as the shoes stayed locked in throughout the workouts and didn't have to readjust them at any time. The flexibility of the upper was pretty key to this as well. It bent with the shape of my foot and helped a lot during sprints and while pushing off to jump. And it also felt pretty durable, as it never seemed like I was going to rip right through it when I was cutting or doing footwork. The outsole was also great. I did the circuit training in an area that collects plenty of dirt and dust, but I never felt like my foot didn't have a proper grip on the ground. This was primarily noticeable while doing footwork, as my feet felt solid when making contact with the ground and cutting on the opposite direction. Besides a few sprints during the circuit training session, I also wanted to give these a try for more standard running. I was a bit hesitant about this though, since these are training shoes and they're not necessarily tailored to be used for running. Regardless, I still ran about 4.5 miles with them, and the experience wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't the best. A little bit into my run, it became pretty evident that the shape and structure of the shoe are not that good for long distance running. The Renew foam provided decent cushioning, but it simply wasn't the lightest and the energy return wasn't great. Also, the arc-shaped support started to become too noticeable and a bit uncomfortable. It felt as if the support was pushing a bit too much into my foot, therefore causing a bit of discomfort at the midfoot, making me believe that these are good for shorter runs of about 1 to 2 miles, but nothing more. Because of this, I personally don't plan on running with these, as I would rather stick to training since that's what they were designed for and where you get the most value out of them. The arc-shaped support on this Retaliation 3 also became tiring after a few hours of wearing these casually. It definitely wasn't the same level of discomfort since I was walking, but still enough to make me want to take a break from wearing them. Matter of fact, I'm wearing them right now while recording the video and I'm standing up, and they're starting to get pretty uncomfortable. Kind of want to take them off. Also, the padding around the collar felt slightly more stiff than I would have preferred, so the shoe would feel uncomfortable around the ankle from time to time. The shoe was and is pretty roomy at the toe box, which was a refreshing feeling, and alongside the bands at the midfoot, they provided a pretty secure but snug fit. I tried them on while wearing jeans so you guys could see what they look like, and for once, I actually don't mind the way they look, especially with this colorway. They obviously have more of an athletic appeal, so wearing them with a more athletic or leisure outfit also looks pretty decent. But how you prefer to wear them obviously depends on your preference and style. Overall, the Renew Retaliation 3 is a training shoe that provides a very stable and solid fit for less than $100 US, which was helpful and convenient for training sessions, but it's not the best if you also want to wear the shoes for running or casual wear. And that was it for today's video, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and got something useful out of it. Thank you for watching.